Hello and welcome to the Drumwell Podcast, where we look at what drummers do away from the kit in order to do their very best behind the kit. And today I have an awesome guest, actually one of the guests I had written down in my book as the first of the 7 I wanted to have a chat to. It's taken about a year, but we're here, we're doing it. You might know him as the drummer of Near Bliviscaris, Black Lava, Rapasi, A Million Dead Birds Laughing, the owner of Bushido Studios down in Melbourne. Welcome, the magnificent, awesome Dan Presland.
Thanks for having me, mate. That's very kind of you. Cheers.
Thank you for being here. Like I said, I was just saying before we hit record, I actually wrote down the 7 people, because I heard that podcasts last for 7 episodes. So I wrote, right, who's the 7 people I really want to chat to on this? And you're in that 7, so I'd already written out all my notes for our episode when I had a bit of an update over the weekend, and yeah, stoked to have you. Yeah, stoked to have you. So,
great to be here, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, you've just done a massive run of the US and Mexico. You're about to hit an Aussie run, but we may as well get right into it. What do you do away from the kit to keep your body primed for drumming? Like exercise, diet, any tips there?
Yeah, I think I've been going to the gym for, about 8 or 9 years now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if that's helped or not, but the thing that does help me is just cardio. So I go for runs. Yeah. I think a lot of guys do that as we get into our 30s now.
Yeah.
So cardio for me, I've found just helps. The last 12 months I've been doing mostly 2-hour sets. So that's just brutal on the cardio and stamina. So I've had to just condition myself by playing a lot of drums and just trying to keep my cardio in shape, not blow my heart out in the third song, because there's a long way to go after the third song. So cardio for me has been very helpful, and I have noticed it when I'm on the road. I don't really run when I'm on the road, but playing 2 hours a night, it's about 1,000 to 1,200 calories depending on how I play. That's what my watch says anyway, which is pretty much I'd burn, if I ran for an hour, I'd probably burn 900-ish calories. Yeah. So it's pretty on par with going for like a 12K run sort of thing.
Right.
So in terms of calorie expenditure anyway. So yeah, just the running, the weights I've been doing for years, and I'm not sure if it's done anything or not. I don't know, maybe helping load in and load out, but
yeah, I definitely think that the weights it's really helped me, like, because I had this back thing a few years back, but like yourself, I've been going to the gym for 9 years now. I've been seriously into it and running at the same time as that. And yeah, like I sort of discovered, I guess, exercise on the side in my 30s. So I'm 43 now, but it was in my mid-30s that I really started to take that seriously. It was probably in my later 20s I started actually doing warm-ups and stuff, like, like stick work and stretching and whatnot before I played. Like, because in your early 20s, it's like, yeah, I just want to play, and you just get up and do it, and you get that burn, the first or second song, and it's like, oh, this is really difficult, and then it's sort of the amino acids break up or whatever, and you're into it. But definitely find that the cardio in particular, especially if you're doing 2-hour sets, I can't say that I've ever done a 2-hour set.
It's brutal.
Probably an hour and a half, maybe I've done.
Yep.
But that was like way back with Berserker, really. Like any of the sets I did with King Parrot was maybe an hour max. But I mean, we're smashing in like 20 songs in that hour, and yeah, I guess people have had their fix after sort of 15. But yeah, like, is there any sort of preparation that you do for those particularly long sets? Because I did actually have a bit of a look at how long those 2 albums you're playing. You're playing Exile and Citadel in their entirety on these tours. Actually, I wanted to give a bit of a plug. You're doing a round of Australia the week after this pod comes out, this comes out on the 6th of June. So if you're listening on the day, people out there, next week you can catch Dan and Neo playing around the country with the brilliant Psychroptic, doing these 2-hour sets, because each album, I think one's sort of 52 minutes and one's like 48 minutes.
Yep. Plus an encore.
Yeah, plus an encore. So what you're doing sort of
just the classics from the first album. We play one track, but it's like a 14, 15-minute track. So it's about... The set time runs about, plus, a bit of talking, it's about 2 hours and 5 minutes. Yeah, the preparation is just the cardio, and I play a lot of drums and I do a lot of drills. Typically in the morning, I'll try and get my drum session down. I'll play the set, or if there's songs I particularly want to tackle, I'll just play them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. And most of the Neos tracks are over 10 minutes each. So if I play something 5 times in a row, sometimes that's close to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Or I'll just isolate a section and just play it over and over and over for like, 20, 30 minutes. But I've toured all the tracks heaps now, so it's, I don't want to say comfortable, but it's, you sort of get into a groove with it.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. And then once I've finished all my playing in the morning, which will generally be anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, I'll sit down and try and get at least an hour of drills on the pads, just stopwatch, metronome, and just getting the drills done.
Yeah. What kind of drills are you doing?
So at the moment, I'm actually just working on mostly hands, actually. I use the really hard reboundy stuff now. Like, practice pads got like a nice sort of bouncy sort of side, and the other side's like a pillow.
Yeah.
So I'm just grinding away on this really hard side, because I was chatting to the Dark Funeral dude, and he's like, yeah, I do heaps of stuff on pillows, and like he just sit on his bed and just chop away, and I'm like, his hands are just crazy. So I'm like, all right, cool, that's what it takes. I'll get into that. So yeah, I'm just really grinding away. I do like really long runs at 170, 180, 190. I can't get up to 200 yet with a long run on the pad. It's really hard, but it's really good. Like, I'm really noticing it when I jump on the kit.
Right.
I've only been doing them for like 3 months now.
Okay.
And so when I warm up before a show as well, all I do is use that hard side now.
Right.
And I'll warm up anywhere from, I try to get at least an hour, and sometimes I'll warm up for an hour and a half. And I never used to do that either. I used to warm up for like 10 minutes, if that. And I wouldn't even warm up my feet. I'd just jump up there and just go. And it was okay, but I'm noticing a difference now I'm warming up. Maybe it's because I'm getting older too. I don't know. But I'm definitely noticing a difference. So now I have quite a routine that I try to stick to before the show. And I try to do the same thing every day. Because what happens is you'll do something before a show and you think you play good and you go, what did I do? So you want to repeat that. So I've just been going through that these last few tours we've been doing, and I'm finding, the really difficult surface is really helping me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That's something to take on board. I actually just I had one a while back and gave it away to a friend of mine who recently took up drumming, and it wasn't like this is a pad that I've got, one of those Remo. It's got the adjustable head.
Oh yeah, I know the
pad.
one. Yep.
Yeah, the tunable head pad. Yep. And I'd use it for a little while, but I'd sort of jump between that and just your standard sort of hard pad. And then I was using a small one to try and make sure I could hit better in the center of the drum and whatnot. Those little small ones, you kind of, they're only like this big, so you really only got a small surface area. But I just thought I'm going to try that one again, and you can really adjust the feel of it. Like, it doesn't really feel like a head either, or there's bounce, but it's different. I found that pad's been kind of cool to mess with.
Yeah, nice. Are they pretty loud, those things?
A little bit. They're not too bad. They're no louder than like a sort of a rubbery pad, I guess.
Yeah, okay. My band likes these pads that I've got. The Foot Blaster pads. He's made a practice pad as well, and they love it because like I'm always like just like fiddling away, and they used to get the shits up with the other pads because they weren't loud, but when you're in a bandwagon or something or on a bus up the front, you're just like smacking away rudiments. They're like, oh, can you just stop, mate? Like,
yeah.
Now they're like, that doesn't really bother them. So yeah, we found a bit of a win-win.
That's cool. I mean, it's always a thing. Like, I guess you got to warm up in the band room, and
Yeah,
if there's going to be tapping, like I suppose if guitarists are warming up, they're sort of, even if they're not sort of playing through an amp or whatever, they're still like tapping on strings. So
yeah,
it's just part of it, I
yeah,
suppose. But yeah, I've definitely found, and I've only really just gone back to a pad in recent times. Like when I was touring a lot, I had those Vic Firth sticks with the little rubber knobs on the end.
yeah. I remember seeing you with them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like a marching stick or something, but they're
yeah. I've
really
got a pair of them too. I didn't use them a lot, but yeah, they're grouse when you just sort of in a shitty venue or something, you can't find anywhere to. You can just play on the wall.
yeah. Well, that was the whole point. I can't remember who got me onto those, but that was the whole point. Was like I was trying to reduce the amount of stuff I took purely because of the whole like yeah, I weigh things down to the gram when I pack to go away, and
Yeah. Okay.
uh, those sticks were like a savior because it took out like a 2 or 3 kilo pad that I would carry
Yeah.
around.
That's
So
another good thing about the Foot Blaster pad. It weighs a lot less than anything else I've had.
right,
It's quite light. Yeah, it doesn't weigh much at all.
yeah, interesting.
And he's got a smaller one. I think he's got I want to say an 8-inch pad and a 12-inch pad.
Yep,
So yeah, it might even be a 13-inch the pad diameter. I reckon it's like a small snare drum.
right.
But yeah, it's got the two sides and it weighs not much at all. So I really like them.
Yeah, cool. I wonder
Yeah.
what he's made them from. Are they like wood
No,
or?
it's a full like clear plastic sheet, and he's just basically clamped on two different surfaces to the top and bottom.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've got the reflex ones as well, but they're quite heavy and they're made of the middle part is wood.
Yep.
So it's like it's just it's a bit heavy. And when as you know, you're touring, it's like you get to the airport and you're shuffling around
Yeah.
between everything and trying to hide what you're shuffling around from the poor person that's trying to serve you and get you on the flight. Gets a bit
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and trying to make sure that things don't weigh more than they should, and
Yeah. And if
creates
they do,
chaos.
just start doing some crazy shuffle arounds with all the bags and hope they get the shits up and just go, I'll just put it on.
Yeah, that was always a tactic. Was like, especially going home, it's like just pull out all your dirty undies and stick them on the desk.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, and they and they eventually go, oh no, you're right, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was always a tactic. So diet wise, anything there? I know for a while you were vegan.
Yep. Yeah, I've been vegan for probably I want to say 7 or 8 years at one point. It worked for me. It really did. I think, well, once I started actually doing it properly, at the start I didn't do it very well and didn't research it much and wasn't working for me. So I put a lot of effort in and time to figure out what worked, at least for my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. But yeah, just come to a point where I wanted to change it up again. So I've changed it up again. And in terms of diet and what I eat, I just try to stay away from shit.
Yeah.
And I try to limit my intake each day. I don't count everything, but I just try and have 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
I try and, especially on tour, I actually only eat twice. I'll have
Yep.
two big meals. I don't worry
Yep.
about breakfast ever, but I can't eat under 2 hours before my set.
No. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
probably 2.5 hours. In saying that, there was a couple of crazy restaurants we got invited to, and we're on a support tour in the US last, and we were on stage at 7:30, and yeah, had a couple of big bellies.
Yeah. It's
But
definitely.
yeah, generally speaking, my rule's about 2.5 hours before I eat. And if I have to eat, I'll just wait till after. If that's the case, because it's just it's really taxing, and all the blood goes to your stomach to digest this food when it should be going to your limbs and tendons and brain to execute what you've worked your whole life to do. So you sort
Yeah.
of rob yourself of some performance points, if you eat too close to your stage time, I think.
Definitely. And we're just to touch on that 2 meals a day. That's kind of where I'm at most days. Purely, it happened by accident. I'm basically doing intermittent fasting, but it happened by accident with my work because like I'll get up in the morning, I'll do my workout, I'll do whatever things I've got on my list for the day, and then I'll have breakfast around sort of 10 a.m. and then I go to work, and then because at night I'm driving in a truck all night, so I don't stop and eat. I have my dinner at like 3:30, 4 in the arvo, so I'm doing that 6 hour window, 2 big meals, and then I was like, oh gee, I'm accidentally intermittent fasting here, and I'm feeling pretty good for it. So I kind of started to do it more every day. Now on weekends, like, we might go out for dinner or something, or I might catch up with some people for a meal. So I'm not super strict.
Yeah.
But I try to be strict with what I eat. Although, same with, weekends, I might eat an ice cream or something.
Yeah.
But I also go through these different, I do a lot of experiments on myself where I'll go through these different diet trends, and for a couple of months ago I was trying to eat 30 plants in a week. Now I still eat a portion of meat.
Right.
Yeah, 30 different plants. So
Okay.
because your body obviously uses everything differently, and
that's interesting.
yeah, that was a thing. There's another, and I incorporated that into my exercise where I was trying to do 30 different movements in the week as well, and realized.
Okay.
Yeah, and sort of realized I was actually doing, when I actually wrote them down, I was actually already eating 30 plants and already doing 30 different movements. So
yeah, right.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now I'm doing an 8-week strength course, 3 days a week. And then on my off days, I'll be doing different types of cardio, whether it's rowing, go for a run, on my bike to work if it's not raining.
How far do you normally, what's your typical run if you run in the morning?
I actually stopped running for a few years because of my back.
Okay. So,
I've only got back into running this year, and I'm running mainly on grass. I've done a couple of road runs, but mainly on grass, and usually just 20 minutes. So sometimes I'll hit 4Ks in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm
only
going
going
to
to
4 to 5K.
Yeah, because and it's been great. Like my back, no problem with my back.
Do you reckon that's from the gym though, with the helping of your back?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I
It
did
kills injuries, the gym. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You'd think you're sore or something, and you'd think like, oh, maybe give the gym a miss, but it's like it's a miracle for the body. If you consistent with it.
Yeah, I actually find that because I work out 6 days a week. So if you particularly doing this course is actually designed by a drummer too, but I don't think it was made for drumming. It's just a strength course I thought I'd do, and then he's going to come on and we're going to have a chat about it on this pod. But
awesome.
It's just I've just been getting into like experimenting on myself and then talking to people about it. So
yeah. Human lab, mate.
Yeah. And I'm not sort of overdoing it or anything, but I actually find that on my days off, or if I'll take every Saturday off. That's my lazy day. Whatever, do whatever. Don't work out. Eat an ice cream.
Yeah.
But I find if for some reason I miss Saturday, Sunday, on Sunday I'll be feeling really sore from not exercising, from the body not having that. Yeah. Well, not like bad sore, crippled, can't get out of bed, but it's like, oh, why are my shoulders sore? Oh, I haven't pumped any blood through them by lifting things or
right. Interesting.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost like your body adapts to a certain routine, and then when you break it, it's quite different. But also on tour, it's so much different because I've got a shed built into a gym in the backyard, so I've got this, all these bits of equipment that I can use. Whereas on tour, I've got stretch bands, and I might bring a skipping rope or sort of utilize body resistance exercises and stuff. But it's different. It's a different thing. So
we try and get to the last tour. You can get a Planet Fitness membership for a month. And invite a guest every time you go. So we just split 2 memberships between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And that way you get showers as well, and get a sauna and all that stuff. So
yeah, sweet.
Sort of pamper ourselves in the morning and then get filthy all day and repeat.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
worked pretty
nice.
well last tour. But yeah, the one thing I struggle with is just the sleep in the vans and the bandwagons and that.
Right.
I struggle to sleep, and if I only get a few hours, it's really hard for me to get up and go get a workout. Some of the other guys can. I don't know how they do it, but I'm a bit of a light sleeper too, so that is a factor for me, which I really hate because I know the more I look into the body, the more how important sleep's like one of the most important things there is.
Mm.
So it's a little bit disturbing. I've been a touring musician for 20 plus years, and probably a lot of that's been pretty sleep deprived.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, particularly in a van, it's hard to sleep. I've found, you know, let's say in a bandwagon or a nightline is like ideal because
Yeah,
it seems to flow. But I find even in a bandwagon, once the thing starts moving, I can sort of just drift off.
yeah, right, yeah.
It's not too bad. But
We
yeah,
had,
the old vans and the bench seats,
mate,
and then getting woken up at 2 a.m. for your turn to drive. And
yeah,
it's
it's
like,
brutal.
I don't even think I've slept yet. But
Yeah, it's brutal.
yeah,
The last bandwagon we had, our driver said it was the oldest one in the fleet. They got 65 in the fleet,
yep.
and it had 380,000 miles when we jumped on it.
Wow.
So it's the springs and that were pretty cooked. We were getting thrown around a bit. Hit the roof a couple of times, so that was fun.
Yeah, wow. I don't think I've ever hit the roof. I've definitely had some rough rides. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it was brutal.
you can't sleep through that kind of thing, but you can't even really sit up because it's so bumpy and so rough.
Yeah, yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. It's, so just as you're saying about your long sets and you're warming up for like an hour to an hour and a half, like what are we talking warm up wise at these shows? Like what's your sort of routine?
Yeah, it's interesting how it's played out over the years. I never used to have a routine. I just hit stuff and you know just bang along. But now I actually get a metronome out, and I want familiarity and just consistency through everything I do. So I'll just bump it up to 150, 160, and just like that for about 5 minutes, and then it goes up, and then it goes up, and I'll just basically mix between singles, doubles, and paradiddles, and that's all I'm doing. And at the end, I'll just try and get some bigger arm strokes going as well. And I don't go over 180 because I'm on that hard surface, and I can't. It's really hard to get. I can, but not for like more than like 10, 15, 20 seconds.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just feel like that's not going to produce me, you know, the results that I want. I want to warm up and get blood moving, and that's not really going to do that. So I just like to go for long periods. I find that's just what's working for me now. So I'll just sit there and do doubles, singles, and paradiddles with the metronome, and I just try and stay on it for an hour to an hour and a half, and just slowly bump it up as I go. Probably, the minimum 5, the maximum 20 minutes on a tempo, and go between 150 and 190. And I just find when I get on the kit, as you were saying before, I don't get that burning. If you don't warm up and, say it's a pretty hot show or a cold show, you're
Mm.
really going to feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I find. So you can't rely on the conditions in the venue. Like in Mexico, it was 42 degrees and no AC. It was just savage.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on the venue or the conditions to bring consistency. You have to bring that yourself to the show to
Yeah,
give
yeah.
yourself the best opportunity to perform, how you can perform. So, yeah, just longevity for me now, just getting it all consistency rather, just warming up and having a routine so
Mhm.
that when I start every show, I've done the work I need to do. And I know, being playing for 20 years, how you can play. So that's just what I've been doing. And it's been working. I've only been doing it for 4 tours now. So that's pretty new for me, considering I never used to really warm up or do much. So
Right.
I've really, because I had a big gap in my drumming during COVID, as probably a lot of us did. But I play in a band that demands a lot of endurance and speed and stuff like that. And it's really, if you don't use it, you lose it. You'd probably know that as well.
Mm.
Playing crazy fast bands and that, and yeah, it took a lot to get it back actually for my first tour back. A lot of work,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I didn't play. My last tour I did was 2019, and it was European Summer Festivals, so that'd be July, and then COVID happened in
2020.
2020 March, April or something.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really play much there. And then I was building my studio as well during that period. And that took about 6 to 8 months. And I didn't really play much. I was just on pads now and then. And then I actually left Neo, was doing other bands that were more rock and roll. Didn't really need the crazy endurance stuff. So it was I reckon it was about 4 years between doing, the drills that I typically do day in, day out. And I really, really felt it actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do a little bit of sort of pad work before a show, but I've actually moved more into, because that's what all I used to do was like stick pad, sit there. I don't really dig out the pedals and get a pedal pad and do all that stuff. I just sort of will have a pad or a chair or something or a table with my rubber ball sticks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll move my legs. I'll get as dramatic movement as possible because I don't generally move heaps when I play. I'm sort of got a bit of a technique down that I use, but I'll try and get heaps of movement and then minimal movement. But I actually move more into like doing a full proper workout, like skipping, push-ups, squats, resistance band, deadlifts, all sorts of stuff like that, where I'm actually cracking a sweat. And this is all like that last tour I did, I was doing an hour before we played every night.
Yeah, right, just to get it all pumping. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just felt great. I just sort of walk on like I'd already been playing for an hour and then just smash it out. And
yeah, I suppose it's a bit of a workout too, I know.
Yeah. Definitely a bit of a workout. But interesting that your point that you made about like not playing so much during COVID and really having to rebuild the endurance. I went to a drummer hang about a month ago at a mate's studio, and one of the drummers there just said that music is a diminishable skill, and it's so true. It's like I used to play piano. I've got my childhood piano in the background there. I can still play a little bit, but like I can't just sit down and open a book and just sight read and play anymore. That's diminished.
Yeah, right.
And I've actually found since I'm not in King Parrot now, and basically what I did for the last 11 years of my life was King Parrot and my other band Fuck, which is thrash or grind or a bit of both. And I've actually found like going back and sort of just reminiscing on some old bands I played in or trying to play other stuff. Like, I've really got to work on this because I'm just so used to doing blast beats and skank beats and fast stuff that going back and trying to get that feel and play slower has been it's fun, but it's been a challenge. It's like, I used to just be able to sit down and do all this because I think I guess you could sort of split my personal drumming career into two, where the first half of it was playing in everything I possibly could, to one point where it just got a bit ridiculous I was doing 12 bands in 1 year. But it was so many. Oh no, yeah, right. It was so many different styles though, and it was consistent. Like I was jamming every day of the week. I think I took one night off. I think I took Friday nights off so I could go and have a few beers. But just reminiscing on some of that stuff and sitting there. So, I remember how to play that, and I'll sit down and try to play it and go, oh wow, I probably couldn't just roll up and jam with those dudes again. Like it's definitely diminished.
Yeah,
by playing the same thing all the time and then trying to play something that I used to be able to play. So
it's definitely true. Yeah, definitely true. I'm a walking tale of that. Yeah, I could really not play the tracks how I remembered them at all. It was quite frustrating, but it was an interesting time building it all back, and I still sort of am a bit. But yeah, I was just I think now that I'm sort of getting on top of it again, I'm actually think I'm playing the songs better than what I was just from the 5-6 years of musical experience of whether it's recording or playing other bands or whatever it was. But it's nice to know that I think one thing's gotten better, and that's the musicality and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the physical side of it it was almost daunting at first, of just how much work was ahead of me. I was going crazy before the first two. I was playing, like, I want to say between probably 4.5 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours,
Wow.
split over 2 to 3 sessions. Just, I had a TV set up over my kit and I was just doing drills, like trying to forget about the time and just trying to really, really smash them out. And yeah, it was pretty brutal at first. You know, you just think, fuck, can I do it? You know, is it gone forever? Like,
Yeah.
but it's amazing what the human body can sort of adapt to. You know.
Yeah, I'm having exactly that crisis at the moment, and obviously having a bit more time to go and play other stuff, because I think my practice for especially the last 5 or 6 years is really my personal practice is just like rehearse set lists. I've got a gig with this band, I'm going to do that. I might throw in a live session. I've helped a few bands out, or I've recorded an album for a band or whatever that's different, but still along the same lines. It's still like death metal, or got some blast beats and some stuff I'm familiar with. But overall, it's been the same thing consistently for years and same practice. Whereas now I'm back discovering things and like really enjoying listening to new music, rather than just like, oh, nah, I'd like to listen to this album, but I need to listen to the set list I got to play for the next 6 weeks because I need it to be really good. And
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
yeah, so well, that's actually really good to hear that well, personally, and probably anyone listening, that you're not the only one that's getting frustrated at what you used to be able to do and not being able to do it right away, having to sort of really build it back up again, because
Yeah,
that's
100%.
it's exactly where I'm at the moment.
Yeah,
Trying to-
it's just a crazy journey. It really is. But I'm very much a believer in the process. And I've been grinding for so long with this stuff that I want to say it's just part of my normal day now. You know, yourself, you got your own routine. You get up, gym. You know, got your pad session, whatever it is. It just becomes a part of your normal life. And there's a part of my brain that gets irritated if I skip. You know, if I skip either drums, gym, or running in a day, I really feel like the day's, I don't know about wasted, but very incomplete.
right.
To do one of those three things.
Yep.
The drums I get pretty much every day, but I try and get the run and gym 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. And if I skip out on those, I really feel it. I think, like, mentally.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do much like core type stuff in the gym? I guess deadlifting's a core exercise.
No, not
Squatting.
really. Honestly, these days I just go in and I try to be able to hit multiple groups. So I'll do a chest and tries, back, buys, I'll do shoulder, and then I'll hit legs once a week, once a fortnight, just because it really flattens me for double base stuff a bit. So I don't really have any core based ones. I just try and keep it really simple. Just try and get, chest does a whole group of muscles, back as well. Shoulders I struggle with a bit. Just I find it really hard to like play drums after doing shoulders for a couple of days. But no real core based stuff, I don't think. No.
Because I've sort of done a lot more, and I got more into that through the back thing, because I did a functional movement training program, which is basically like a rehab for my back. And so I do those every day. Basically, it's basically deadlifts and squats, or hip hinging and squats.
Okay.
So something relating to that every day. Rowing's been good, but I'm also doing a lot of balance type stuff where I'll hold a kettlebell in my right hand and then I'll sort of slowly step up with my left foot and then slowly lower myself down, or do this sort of, you're in a push-up position, you're dragging a weight underneath you from side to side.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of that's really helped as far as my stability on the drums, on the stool, the throne.
Yep.
Particularly when both legs are moving a lot. And I guess something else I'm trying to bring to the kit is something I've never been very good at, and that's like counting with my left foot with the hats. I've never been very good at that. Like maybe when I was well,
What do you mean actually counting?
I count in my head all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, with the left foot, it's when I was a kid first learning drums, I did it, but I stopped playing drums through high school because they wanted me to join the school band and I didn't want to. So I stopped playing drums.
What were you doing then, piano?
Nah, I played a bit of guitar actually through high school.
Sick.
Yeah, I stopped drums and piano in the same year in grade 9.
Yeah, right.
And then I started playing guitar because I wanted to be Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
and then yeah, I was all right on guitar. Like I can play a bit of guitar, it's fun, but I was never like a shredder or anything.
Yeah.
And I could just never find a good drummer, so I just went back onto the drums. Then went back to that, got into heavy metal, and then it was just all about playing double bass and getting that skill. And less about the counting. So I've been really trying to do a bit more of that with the consistency of the left foot.
Yeah, I love doing that. It's a great tool, I think.
Yeah, it sort of separates your mind a little bit, and it's just something I've never done with bands I've played in. So it's something I've been working on with my own practice.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
I've actually just added in a left foot stack next to my hi-hat. And so I'm working on these ideas to try and do on the next record. But I'll just do single strokes between my right foot and left hand, just a blast beat. And I'm trying like paradiddles between a stack on my right and the left foot.
Yeah.
Trying to get like cool sounding patterns and stuff. And it's really trippy. It's really cool because when you listen to it with stereo, there's like, you know, two sort of hi-hat noises in the stacks coming out the right and left ears.
Yeah.
It's really trippy. So I'm trying to find the right application to try and bring this stupid nerdy shit into. So
that's
hopefully
awesome.
The band's got something for me.
Yeah, I reckon they will. They're all pretty. There's certainly a lot of different sounds and things going on in Neo. So
yeah, there's a bit going on. So hopefully they'll have something that'll fit. So I want to try and it's not often I have a prearranged idea either. You know, like sometimes I'll just shit comes to and you just slowly work on it. But I've been trying to work on ideas to try and bring into music. So I wonder how it'll go. I've never really done it.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's fun. Keeps it interesting. So with the stack, is it like a pedal stack, is it?
Yeah, so I've just mounted, you know, those Zildjian FX stackers. So I can't remember if it's an 8 or 10 down hooked onto a pedal down next to my left hi-hat.
Yep.
I've got the 16-inch FX stacker on my right next to a China and Ride.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, so the one's a high pitch and one's a low pitch.
Right. And you're doing paradiddles on the feet or just paradiddles on the whole body sort of thing?
No. So right and left, just a normal blast beat, right foot, left hand.
Yep.
So, just instead of, you know, blasting with just the right hand or whatever, I'm trying to incorporate the left foot and the right hand to do some kind of, you know, cool sounding stuff. So I'm just trying with paradiddles at the moment. It sounds a bit kooky, but I'm trying to find cool stickings that might work.
Yeah.
It might work, it might not, but yeah, it's been fun. So
I think it'll work. No, I don't think anything's kooky when it comes to music. It's just it's endless possibilities.
Yeah, there's no rules, eh? That's what I love about it. There's no rules and there's no one to tell you that anything sucks. I mean, there are people that tell you things suck, but we stopped listening to them a long time ago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's another thing.
Like rule number one back in the day, and you know, playing in Neo, we got heaps of hate back in the day. It's quite funny to look back on, but early on, I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, this is fake metal, this is poser stuff," and I remember thinking back then, it used to bother me, you know, but then you just think, hang on, I'm not here to appease internet trolls.
No.
So I just very early on, I just was like, I saw it as like you must be doing something right symbol, you know, if you're getting hate online or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's just funny, like, geez, the comments and that you get over the years of YouTube comments and all that, it's quite amusing actually. But definitely so I could care less about that stuff.
No. I mean, my first band that I was drumming in was called Headcase. It's like
I remember that band.
I guess it was a bit of Slipknot meets Mr. Bungle.
Yeah.
With a bit of death metal. We had a keyboard and yeah, we got a lot of hate. But we also had a lot of people come to our shows. So It's like, all right, well, the physical evidence here is we're packing rooms out. In Brizzy, we didn't do a whole lot of like touring. We did a little bit, but not a whole lot. But in Brizzy, we had a great following, and the internet was kind of newish then. So that whole idea of trolls and stuff back in the early
it was
2000s.
brutal back then.
Yeah. But
We had people actually come to shows and flyer shows because I remember back in the day it was 2006 or 7, and Dicey gave us a shot. He's seen us at Metal for the Brain early on in our live career, and he's like, oh, we got talking, and he's like, I've got Suffocation coming out, and I'd love for you guys to play with them. We're like, fuck yeah, sick. And all the local internet trolls found out about it, and they printed out flyers, and it said, death to false metal, this band shouldn't be playing with Suffocation.
my goodness.
No posers should be entering the fucking venue, all this shit.
Wow.
And they were handing it out at gigs. I've got one somewhere. I'll have to post it. It's absolutely gold.
Yeah, it's
years later. A couple of the guys that were involved in that actually apologised and stuff. And I said, mate, that was one for the memory books. Trust me, that was grouse.
Yeah. So I guess people sort of see the errors of their ways sometimes, and it's cool that they can apologise. But isn't it crazy? Like just because you don't like something, then it's like, well, no one should like it because I don't like it. It's
like, metal was heavily gatekept back then, man.
I think it still kind of is in a way.
It is, but back then it was. I mean, I'm not really involved in the local. I go to a lot of shows, but I'm not really involved in the local scene. But I can't remember ever going to that extent of actually printing out flyers and handing out flyers at shows to try and stop a band from playing with another band.
Yeah.
Just purely based on that we had a violin and it was a bit, out there.
It's different. Yeah. Trying something new and different, and people don't like it.
It's so funny to look back on, dude. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I guess next point would be like, have you had any kind of injuries, like from drumming, or even that have affected your drumming, like you tripped and fell and swelled your ankle or something? Like, have you had anything?
Yeah.
And how'd you overcome those?
I've had a couple. The first one was I was out pissed one night. It's about 10 years ago. Me and a mate decided to try and slide down the railing down, 20 steps, and fell on my hand and swollen up like a tennis ball. And it was like a week before tour. I didn't want to tell the band. That was brutal. I just remember icing. We went into a pub because everyone was wigging out because it just blew up. We went into a pub and I put it in the freezer.
Right.
For like an hour. And I can't even remember if that was even beneficial or not, but I remember getting home and waking up and it was just excruciating.
Right.
And went to the doctors, got scans. Thankfully, nothing was broken. It was all just trauma.
Yeah.
So, it was still a bit fat when I went on tour, and it definitely didn't help me.
No.
And the only way to get over it, I had to ice after the show for about a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that only affected me for probably 2 to 3 weeks. A bit of a stupid injury, and in hindsight, obviously, wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
The other one was the first tour back from Neo. I had some kind of. I actually still don't know what happened, but something was going on with my right foot where it would just stop playing.
All right.
It was incredibly scary because I've never had that. And it was only during certain parts of songs. So that gave me a bit of reassurance that maybe it wasn't nerve or related or something like that. And I don't know what happened. I played through that tour. It slowly got better. Then I got a small dose of it at the end of the tour. And it was a 7-week tour, so it was fairly long. So I wasn't sure what was going on. So I went home, didn't play for 2 weeks, just thought I'll give it a rest. I'm not going to play. And then after a 2-week rest, because to go back on that, I was playing like monstrous hours as well. So that could have contributed over playing. I had 2 weeks off, came back, started playing again. Done a couple of tours since, and it's been fine. So not sure what that one was, but I put it down to overplaying. Because I was playing sometimes 3 sessions a day on the kit. And it's not like we're sitting there like just practicing stickings or something. It's like,
full blown.
It's metal
rehearsal, yeah.
So I'll put that down to overplaying. Strange happened to my right foot. It's probably one of my strongest limbs, out of the 4. So I don't know. But yeah, a bit of rest fixed that one up, thankfully, and haven't had it back. So
I actually read an article recently. It was an interview with Chris Adler from Lamb of God. And he had something, I forget what they call it, musician's dystopia or musician
yeah,
something,
I have
where,
read that.
yeah, where like a certain, and it was something similar to that, where like it was his right foot or his left foot or something that it just wasn't hitting. And it's apparently like a brain body connection thing.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a degenerative disease, though. I think
right.
that will get worse over time. I'm not sure if there was any remedies or fixes for it, but I remember reading it was degenerative, and I was like, "Fuck, that's scary.
Yeah, right.
That's very scary." Yeah.
Yeah, because just when you said that, that just reminded me of that article I read, and I
Mm.
thought,
Yeah, that was definitely the scariest thing I've had, like drum wise, in terms of injuries, because I just didn't know. And you sort of think you know 28 again, and you can do whatever you want, and but I'm 40 in a couple of months, so
mm,
you got to be mindful of that stuff too. And
yeah,
it's yeah,
you
you
don't
sort
bounce
of think
back
you're
as well.
invincible and can go stay up all night and wake up and go play drums perfectly, and you're not 26 forever, so
Yeah,
got to be mindful of that stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I definitely a bit wary of the playing too much. 2 sessions a day works for me. One in the morning and just pads in the night seems to be fine, and I'm seeing progress with it, which is cool. So I definitely won't do that again. But hopefully I won't be in a position where I'm not playing drums for 4 years at a time. So, well, not metal drums anyway.
yeah. I mean, Black Lava had plenty of, it was more of a rockin' band, but it still had plenty of like cool stuff in it. Cool.
Yeah, there was definitely more of a heavy hitting band.
Yep.
I just went for just aggression and a bit more power in that band. But there wasn't like you know 215 for 3 minutes
Yeah.
non-stop. Like it was pretty. Well, I guess after playing that stuff for so long, that was I don't want to say easy, but it was like cruisy. But yeah, definitely was just didn't take the maintenance required to get that job done as what Neo does.
Right. And that's
Mm.
the thing, isn't it? Maintenance. It's a
Yeah,
massive
it
thing.
definitely is. Yeah, it definitely
Mm.
is. And I guess I took it for granted too when I had that time off during COVID because you're just like if you play like 4, 5, 6 tours a year, you're pretty much in good form the whole year. Like you come back from a tour and you just like you can play anything really.
Yeah.
Then you might have a month off, 6 weeks off, and I'm still playing in that time,
Mm.
whether it's tracking records or just practicing, and then you go on tour again, and by day 3 or 4 of tour, you're back in good form again. So generally, for the whole year, you're in pretty good shape if you're actively touring. I mean, that's one thing I think I took for granted, which I'm going to be mindful of going forward, is just keeping on top of stuff, just keeping
Yeah.
on top of the maintenance and what's required to play in the band.
Yep. I think that's a big thing. Like, probably, I couldn't tell you the last time I had more than a couple of weeks off of playing. And it's
Yeah,
usually get home from a tour. I'll take 2 weeks off, even though I'm like, oh, maybe I should go play drums. I'm like, no, I'm going to rest it. I'm going to have a rest. But sort of always ready for the next one, do the maintenance, do the work. But which, like I said earlier, it was really just most of my practice for the last decade has been just running through stuff I can do.
yeah,
So now it's this point where I'm like, well, I don't have to do anything. I can just try new things and try old things and realize what I've forgotten and try and remember that. But I guess it's also maintaining what I can do. Like I like blast beats, so I got to keep doing that. And
yeah.
um,
You'll take that to your grave, mate.
yeah. But it's like, well, if I'm not doing it all the time, if I'm not out there playing them all the time, then how do I maintain that? So that's sort of got to
Yeah,
work into my practice as well. And then I'm doing all these like random rudiments and improv stuff and all these things. It's almost overload sometimes if you think about it. It's like, shit, am I really cramming all that into a week? But
yeah, yeah. It is crazy. I definitely take it one day at a time with that stuff.
mm,
Like I got to track a couple of songs for a client at the moment, and I'm meant to be doing a playthrough video for some promo for tour, and I've got a band in the 3 days before I go on tour, and meant to rehearse for that tour, and then soon as I come back from the Aussie tour, I've got to do an 85-minute record, which is that's huge. So that's going to take me a couple of weeks to sit down, get it all done, and that's going to be my playing for 2-3 weeks. That'll be it. But if I put it all on a piece of paper, it's like fuck. But it's just got to be like day by day. Get up, go do your run, do your gym, whatever it is. And sometimes I just have to walk in that room, because I got my drums just in the other room, which is grouse. I've just got to walk in that room. Like sometimes you just walk back, and I'll give it a rest. Or just walk in there, shut the door, and put your headphones on, and just get started.
Yeah.
So I find once I do that, I can get at least an hour and a half in, pretty comfortably. And I like to play. I don't know about you, but back in the day, like when I was first, practicing in that, I thought an hour a day was really good. And then you talk to other guys. Like I was lucky to meet Dave Haley early on when I was younger bloke, and he was like, yeah, I'll play for 2 hours, and I was like, shit, 2 hours, fuck, all right. So I'd try and get up to 2 hours, and that was a long time for me.
Yeah.
But really saw the results. And I find that now whenever I talk to other dudes, if they say like, but I only do like half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, try doubling it. Just try doubling it. And that's what I reckon when I saw like, some results that I was starting to go, oh shit, this is cool. Was just doubling it. Like, how long did you play for when you were like back in your younger band days?
Well, back in my younger band days, I did have a kit set up at home. I was living at home, had the kit set up, so I could sort of come home from work or TAFE or whatever I was doing and like sit down but it varied really, like depending on how much time I guess I thought I had. So maybe I'd only have 30 minutes or maybe I'd have 3 hours, but but I also find for me now, my drums are at a studio 10 minutes drive away. So, or I might ride my pushy over there and that's 20 minutes. So if I ride my bike there, I'm already warmed up and I just get straight into it.
That's awesome.
The blood's
do you find
pumping.
That helps?
I do, yeah.
Cool.
Because like I don't ride any of those electric bikes or anything, nothing against them, but I like the actual feeling of doing the work.
I'd be the same, yeah.
And then, the legs are ready. Like I might do some sort of rudiments and stuff to get warmed up. And then I'm like straight into practicing songs, practicing stuff that I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
But then, I work sort of 11-hour days, 3 days a week. And then I do a half day Friday. So my actual drum time it might be all day Thursday. So I might do anywhere from 3 to 6 hours on a Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Not solid straight because after a while I use those Vic Firth noise cancelling headphones. After a while it starts to fucking hurt my head.
Yeah, the top of my head gets a bit I've got to change the position of where the top of the padding goes. There's not much padding on mine anymore. They're a bit frayed. I'm going to have to hit up buddy Justin for some new. I've seen the new models coming out, so...
I got the new model. They're amazing.
Are they? Because I've only got the old bangers.
Right. The noise cancelling, they're...
yeah, right.
Really nice padded, but still, like anything, I think sitting on your head for that long, you feel it a bit.
Okay, yeah, you do.
Highly recommend.
I don't it's live, but I'll use those Vic first when I'm at home. I just find it better.
Yeah.
Even though my Indian monitors cost me like $2,500. First, or what, $200 or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But I just like the feeling of having them over my head, and there's no. I find with Indian monitors, you move your jaw around a bit, and the sound changes a bit, or something might leak in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's more of a cone of silence in the Vic Firth.
A cone of silence, yeah.
Yeah, particularly these new ones where it is noise cancelling, like noise cancelling headphones, and you stick them on, and then you can hear it just go, and then it's just like cool. But you can still hear the drums through them, I find. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, I dig them. Yeah, I really dig them.
I've had to actually take all my drums out of my mix live. My snare was like conflicting with something, and it was just like consuming my whole mix too much. So I've got no drums in my any mix anymore.
Yeah, right.
I also find it makes me hit a little bit harder too, to compensate for that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's something I was actually noticed myself doing last week was. Because of the whole cone of silence thing, and I'm trying to play something a bit slower and a bit groovier and like, get in the pocket, as they say. And it's like, am I actually doing this? Like, And I'm like, oh, hang on, I don't need to hit this hard. I'm only
Yeah.
hitting this hard. Maybe I can just turn the volume down on my on the track I'm playing and hear the drums a bit more and go, oh yeah, I'm actually hitting way too hard for this. I don't need
Yeah,
to hit
right.
that
Yeah.
hard. So yeah, sort of, not getting too lost in the cone of silence.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I guess practice wise, it's changed a lot over the years because I actually used to live at that studio and I could just go downstairs anytime and play drums.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you've told me about that before. Yeah.
Yeah, and but now obviously I live in a house, but I've got a pad and stuff set up at the house now. So that's what I'm really trying to do, put like left foot counting and just working on rudiments and
Full practice.
yeah. But then I'll still get in on the kit. Like last Thursday, I think I spent the first hour and a half. I chucked a towel over my snare and turned the snares off and just tried to get a bit more resistance under the sticks. So
Yeah, cool.
less bounce, more resistance, but actually on a kit because it's different. It feels different on a
It's a
pad.
different world.
Yeah, even on
There's some
electrics,
guys.
electric kits feels different, So
Yeah. Yeah, there's some guys that can just absolutely shred on pads.
yeah,
I feel like I can just do more on a kit. I don't know why.
yeah,
Like, I don't really consider myself a huge pad shredder that can just blaze away on pads. I mean, I can do some, obviously do all my exercises and stuff, but I feel like if I got a kit in front of me, I can just do more.
yep,
I don't know
yeah,
what it
same.
Yeah.
So, and even like I used to work many years ago. I worked night shift, and so I bought an electric kit because I wasn't able to. This is before I lived at a studio or anything. I wasn't able to just go out and rehearse every night. So, like I was doing, so I got this electric kit and got pretty all right on that. But you go from the electric kit onto a real kit, and suddenly, well, for me, I found I could do things several BPMs quicker, and just from doing that stuff on the rubber, it translated onto actual drum heads with the proper bounce and stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it was a more of a positive thing where it actually felt better.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm sort of like, well, I need to get on the pads for that different feel so that when I actually get on the kit, it's probably going to be better.
It translates, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've spent so many hours on pads too, but I still, I don't know what it is, but if I just jump in front of a kit, I don't know, it just sort of comes together a bit more for me.
Yeah, so sort of like you get in that little cockpit area, like everything
Yeah.
sort of in the right spot. I've just done a drum ergonomics course. I'm not sure if you've heard of the drum mechanic, Brandon Green.
I think I've seen it on Instagram.
Yeah. I bought his course over Christmas. I actually want to see if he wants to jump on this pod as well because
Yeah.
he also does a lot of like fitness stuff. He's a muscular skeletal body mechanic sort of guy, and he's a drummer, so he's related all this stuff back to that.
Right.
And I did his ergonomics course, and it was really cool because he shows you ways to measure out your kit and like for your body type, and how to position things so that you're not like overreaching. Some things you will have to overreach, but like how often are you going to hit that certain china that's over there that you hit twice a song?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you do that. But if you're like riding on a crash or you ride or something, you want you want to be able to sit straight and have your elbows to your sides and be comfortable with a lot of power. So I did his ergonomics course, and that was really cool. But also really cool because I found that I made a few minor tweaks, but I was actually setting up pretty ergonomically for my body, and that really all came about with my back issue that I had where
you probably have to, eh?
Yeah, I sort of condensed everything so that I wasn't having to, particularly trunk rotation and stuff. I wasn't having to move around as much. It was just everything was there, and I could just sort of sit in the middle. So that was a really interesting little discovery.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I have lowered my cymbals over the years. Being a studio guy as well, I'm very conscious of trying to set up, for the engineer as well. But I used to have crashes fairly high to keep the separation, obviously, from the toms and the bleed and that. But I've just been bringing them down, especially doing these 2-hour sets, because you're riding on a crash and it's up here. It's just that much nicer down here.
It is, yeah.
and I'm just like, yeah, I don't care anymore. I just need a bit of comfort.
No, yeah,
So,
it's a thing because
yeah, it really is.
it can cause injury and like
Yeah, I don't
shoulder
get
and
China's heaps. Like, I don't wait. Like, I'm not, deathcore style smacking a China all the time, but they've come down a little bit too. But yeah, I've just tried to keep everything down a little bit lower and just to keep it all in that little arm's length. So not, yeah, especially with long sets, you spend a lot of time in one position, it gets strained.
Yep.
One thing I find too is, like, I've never had a drum tech, so I always set up and set down myself and all that, but is twisting all the, cymbal arms and, you know, when something breaks mid set and you got to quickly rush underneath and quickly twist it, I
Yeah.
find I'll actually jar my wrist or fingers a lot.
Yeah.
With just little things like that you wouldn't really think about, but they're like the biggest. And then it makes me think, well, I see why guys actually get techs now, because little, niggly things like that you wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have an issue setting up my drums and all that sort of stuff and packing them down. That's fine. Been doing it for, but it's all that little stuff, then the load ins and load outs as well, that add to the wear and tear on your wrist and because sometimes, like, especially when you've got backline that you don't, you get cruddy backline, which quite often we do.
Yeah.
You've got to just like crank stuff so it doesn't move. And I find that's when you'll get a little twing, in your wrist or one of your fingers because you've cranked something too hard. Shit.
Yeah, a little pop almost. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, what was that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff that gets me, strangely enough.
I get that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a set up my own kit kind of guy. I've had people help out as techs from time to time, but I still am very hands on with it. I've never had an actual touring tech full time.
Yeah.
Well, we brought a guy.
I text for you in the Pantera show. But you still
did.
pretty much did everything.
Yeah. Well, no, you did a lot of it. I'll often, if I have a tech, I'll go, hey, do you want to do some tuning? Because I find tuning drums like making a cup of tea. Someone else always does it better.
All righto.
Yeah,
I love tuning. I mean, I do it heaps. Not love, but I mean, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. I don't mind it, and I've sort of got my little technique down. But if someone else is there, it's like,
go for your life.
Yeah, because then they'll always be like, not always, but sometimes I'll do everything. I'll do it the same every time, the same sort of.
Yeah.
And then it's like there'll be just this certain ringing or a little vibration. It's like, what's going on there? I'm using the same heads. I've done the same thing. I've done the same routine, and I'm just not getting that. But
the whole world tuning. I've recently got onto the rock locks, which are cool. Like little plastic things that go on your lugs. I've tried everything. Honestly, I've tried everything. I've had 3D printed shit. I've had, the Tama ones. I've had the dudes that made little threads that go on the actual lugs themselves, and you put 2 threads and it tightens it up. The tuna fish, everything. But yeah, these lug locks are awesome.
Yeah, right.
Good. Yeah, Anthony, who plays in Hollywood Undead, and he just got the Dotry gig as well, actually. He's like the owner of them, and he's done a great job. He's also got they're called, I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically hooves that go around either cymbal stands or your bass drums. Some bass drums that I use, depending on what Pearl kit I get, they move a bit. Like, I play so much double bass, they're going to fucking move. But
yeah,
these little hooves that Velcro to the carpet, and you stick them around your feet, and they just don't move.
Yeah, right.
Same as cymbal stands. If you've got anything that's moving around, you just plonk them in, and they don't move. They're really awesome.
Cool. I have seen those drum blocks that it's just like it's almost rubbery sort of stuff with Velcro on it, and you just Velcro it to your carpet, and
goes on the front of your
in front of the hoop.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had one of them, and that was really good.
Yeah,
like, definitely stopped the movement.
Yeah,
but I do find depending on the angle, like I'll always set my kick drums up so that there's like probably a good gap like that. I can get my hand under it at the front, so it's raised a bit and sitting back towards me. So I'm not sure if that's a great angle for playing, but I definitely find that it stops the movement for me.
Yeah, that's interesting when you think of that visually.
Otherwise, I will get gaff like the last tour I did, I had a pearl kit. Then it was missing one foot. So, and that was the left. I used that as my left because obviously I do a lot more with my right than my left. But I was just getting a couple of bits of gaff and like taping it around towards me, and it stopped it. So
good old gaff, mate.
yeah, it does the trick. If you can hold a car together off a motorway, then it should hold a kit together for a set.
It's funny, at the end of a tour, you'll see gaff everywhere. It's like fixing blokes' shoes and just on laminates and
yeah. It's very handy stuff.
It is.
I guess we're pretty close to wrapping it up. I mean, if you got any tips, like top tips for longevity, we sort of tend to discuss these things throughout, but I'd like to reinforce it. Like top tips for longevity.
Yeah, I guess just I think consistency is the number one thing I could, say or preach, is just be consistent with it. Don't overly force yourself to do things that, your brain thinks you can do something and your body maybe not up to the level yet. All the things haven't connected yet, and you just got to be patient and consistent and just stick with it. Sticking with it, I think, is the top tip. Yeah.
I actually think I needed to hear that right then, because last week in particular, I had a really great session on Thursday, and then I went in on Friday to do the same thing, and it just didn't work. And I'm like, how did I do all this so good yesterday and I can't do it today? And it's like, maybe I can't play drums anymore. Not that, it wasn't that dramatic, but it was sort of like your brain.
Yeah, we've all had those moments. Like, I don't know any drummer who hasn't had those moments, and it's so crazy in this day and age to load up YouTube and, everyone's got their best performances online, but it's just not the truth of things, like everyone has shockers. Everyone has days where they're not doing things, where they're not, the brain thinks it's in one place, but the body's not in another. There's so many factors to everything, but just consistency is what closes the gap on everything. Just consistency and just maintaining. You've got a routine or you've got a workflow. Just stick to it, and just long-term consistency yields results.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I love that. Any shout outs you want to give? I know you got a tour coming up around Australia. This pod will be out about a week before that.
Cool. I actually can't remember the dates, but I'm pretty sure we're in Perth on the 11th.
I know you're in Brisbane on the 15th.
All right, cool. We go backwards. So Brisbane 15th, Sydney 14th. That'll be Melbourne on the 13th, Adelaide on the 12th, day off in Adelaide on the 11th, Perth on the 10th of June.
There you go. And that's with Psychroptics.
Which is just crazy because they're one of my favourite bands and favourite dudes.
Yeah.
I know you know those guys pretty well as well, and they're just...
Dave was the first guest. He was my first guest on this pod.
Was he?
Yeah.
Deservingly so. He's the king, mate.
Yeah, when I first thought of the idea, it was this whole thing was born around that back injury I had and how I'd gotten over it. And it's like, I want to tell everyone how I got over this, and I want to talk to other people about injuries and what they did, and just even if it's not an injury, like, what do you do to just keep doing what you do? And Dave was like,
details of that.
Oh yeah, we had a great chat. But yeah, he was my first guest. So, but I mean, as far as from a drumming perspective, what a great couple of guys to watch on that tour. I know that there'll probably be local supports as well, but yourself and Dave, just
But yeah, Dave's like, he's been one of my favourite drummers since I first picked up the sticks, and I was just absolutely privileged to become friends with him, like, very, very early on in my playing days, and he basically mentored me, still does really, with a lot of stuff I do and tackling things on the drum kit and in life and all that sort of stuff. He's been an amazing friend and mentor for me, and I just can't say enough good things about the bloke, and it's an honour to share the stage with him again around Australia again. I was lucky to tour with him last year with Black Lava.
Yep.
We did that run with Obituary, Psychroptic and Black Lava, and that was cool. So it's just I'm just honoured and stoked to be able to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
He's sick. He's such a sick drummer. He's so sick.
Yeah.
Like, he's been ripping it since, the 90s, man.
Yeah.
So
Well, first Psycho album was 99 or 2000, I think.
Yeah, it was 99.
Yeah. So
him and Joe have been jamming up in his parents' attic for, since they were kids. It's just such a cool story as well.
Yeah.
Just two brothers just ripping,
Yeah.
And everyone in the band's just so sick, dude. They're all just top blokes.
Yeah.
And they're all into fitness stuff these days. They all go running. Like Peppo's a mad runner now, and
yeah, Peppo and Todd were doing lots of runs last time I saw them. And
Toddy does some pretty epic runs. Those guys run 2-3 times longer than I do. I'll do like 10-15K runs.
Yeah, they're not sitting down running every night though, I suppose.
No, they're not.
But
I actually ran into Todd on a day off in Denver. A few weeks ago, I was just on Instagram, had a day off in Denver, and I was deciding what to do. Todd's story come up. He was slinging merch with Revo.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, get fucked." He goes, "Oh mate, come down." I was, "I'll be there in 20 minutes." So I just went down and hung out with him, and then we had the Emperor show after that. It was a crazy day off in Denver.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
awesome. I love those days.
Yeah, just random.
Yeah. Oh well. Thanks again so much for being here. I know it's
my pleasure, mate.
I know it's a bit of an early-ish Monday morning, but yeah.
I generally get up pretty early these days, especially coming from another time zone.
Yeah.
Get up at 4, then 4:30, then 5, then 5:30, then 6, and then I sort of nestle around the 7 a.m.
Yep.
mark. So
yeah, something else that happens as we get older.
Yeah, isn't it?
You just kind of wake up. I wake up before my alarm most days. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, I'm up. I better get up.
I'm in bed more, and I still drink, but I don't drink like I used to. You know, out on tour and that. Geez, getting pissed and all that. Probably got pissed once or twice on the last tour on days off, but
can't do it.
Yeah, all that stuff gets put away, and you sort of get more locked in with what's important, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're there for a reason. You're there to deliver a product, I suppose. Deliver your art, and you want to do your best. So
yep.
Yeah, it does tend to fall by the wayside as we get a bit older. It's not
for sure.
Not as much about the party anymore, but
No, I'm sort of in bed by the last tour. Geez, so we're on stage anywhere from 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yep.
It was a 40-minute set, so you're done by 8:40, and we're pretty quick at packing up. Within half an hour, the trailer's like locked.
Yeah.
And some nights I just go straight to bed, or I just go. I've had some friends in town, just go say hello or whatever, and in bed by if we're in bed by 10:30, it's
right.
Good night in my books.
Yeah.
Call it 2, so you sort of got three and a bit hours before you start getting shaken around like a washing machine. But
yeah.
It's
ripper. Well, mate, thanks so much. Really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your insights. I'm stoked to have you.
No, it's all good. Always great to talk to you, mate. And hopefully you're free on the 15th. We'll hang out up at, I can't remember the venue.
The Princess Theatre.
Yeah.
I'd definitely like to come down on the 15th and catch up with yourself and the gang, the boy, Cycro and the Neo boys. So yeah,
always good to catch up.
Amazing. Well, I'll see you then.
Awesome, mate.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.